Nan in this evolving pandemic situation. And thank you for coming this session. I don't call it a training session, and instead, I would like to say it is an information session that I'll share with every colleague and friends in the Venice market. And as Peter introduced, my name is Fred Liu, and I am the senior manager for the International Student Admission Office of TDSB. As to our school board, I know that a lot of you already know much about TDSB, and we are right inside that red circle and looking after all the public schools in the city of Toronto, which is inside the Greater Toronto area. This whole area is composed of 5 jurisdictions. So we are the city of Toronto. To the north is York region. To the west is Peel region. Further west is Halton. And then to our east is Durham district. And each district, we have public school boards. And we are now looking after all the elementary and the secondary in the city of Toronto. This is where we are. I'm not sure how many of you have been to Toronto in the past. And this is one of the most livable cities in the world. It's also Canada's leading metropolitan center for education and high technologies. And I've been living here for many years. It is a safe, diverse, and very friendly communities. Of course, it provides a lot of opportunities for both people working here and studying here in the city. As far as our school board is concerned, we are now the largest and most diverse public school board in Canada. By that, I mean we have a total of 583 schools, which is larger than a lot of provinces combined. And we have 473 elementary schools, 110 secondary. Right now, we have kids, students coming from more than 60 different countries. A bit of information about our office. So this office looks after 2 different types of students. We take care of all the regular fee-paying international students, like kids coming from Vietnam, Korea, China, and other parts of the world. We also look after the admission for non-fee-paying students. I'll give you one example. If a parent is studying in a university or college in Toronto, and they bring their kids along to Toronto, when their kids want to go to school, they also need to contact my office to get the admissions letter. So we determine if they can go to school without paying tuition fee or not. And very often, families who are diplomats, who are on work permits, or who are in the process of applying for refugees, etc. So they are also coming to my office to get the admissions letter. The picture here is our headquarters, which is in the downtown area of North Toronto. Right now, we offer, as you all know, the regular elementary program, secondary program. We also offer a short-term cultural immersion program for school groups. And the program often runs between 2 to 8 weeks, but it's only for school groups. You might have heard about our summer school program, which is called Integrated Orientation Summer School. This is a free program for all the new incoming secondary students, offering ESL, drama, family studies, and career studies. This is a 1-month program, offers a free credit course for all the new students. I can give you some more details after this. In terms of choosing the right school for students, I want to talk about 2 things. The first thing is about K to 8, means kindergarten to grade 8. We call them elementary. I know in Vietnam, elementary only ranks to from kindergarten to grade 6, and grade 7 and 8 are middle school. In here, we don't usually have that many middle schools. We call them elementary schools. In our school system, some school runs from grade kindergarten to grade 8. Others only ran from kindergarten to grade 6. We have some middle schools, but they all belong to the elementary panels. So for grade kindergarten to grade 8, the school placement is based on the address. So every school is eligible. And the condition is that the child must go to the school based on the address of the custodian and the legal guardian. For example, if you have a relative living in Toronto and you are under grade 8, you want to go to school, it's based on the address of the relative or the custodian, which school you can go to. Right now, every grade 8 students, when they finish elementary school, they can move on to the school where they live. They don't have to choose the 31 school designated for international students. As I mentioned earlier, we have 110 high schools in the school system, but only 31 are accepting students from grade 9 to grade 12 directly. For those students who started with us from grade 7, grade 8, moving on to high school, they are not limited to that 31 schools anymore. Instead, they can transition from grade 8 to the grade 9 school where the address is in the school neighborhood. Lastly, if you start in our schools from elementary, let's say from grade 8, grade 7, you can apply to any specialty programs offered by TDSB. For example, IB program, TOPS program, robotics program, arts program, sports program. So all the special program available for the local students is also eligible for international students if you start from grade 8 or grade 7. For high school from grade 9 to grade 12, as I mentioned earlier, we now have 31 secondary schools that are designated for international students, and they can apply from overseas, for example, Vietnam, directly to the schools. Out of that 31 secondary schools, we have 7 non-semester schools and 24 semester schools. Every school of the 31 has ESL support, programming support, and staffing support. They have rich course choices and a lot of volunteer opportunities that the guidance teacher can give the case or refer the case to. And this is very important, especially for students who want to go to university after high school, and they need those opportunity to get the volunteer hours, to have the volunteer experience, and to apply to some top programs at university or college. These are the 6 major communities in Toronto. If you look at here, you can see we have primarily this 6 large community in the city of Toronto. Let's look at the bottom one, downtown Toronto. I know some students and family prefer downtown, exciting, it's a lot of nice things to look around, museums and art museums and theaters, and also beautiful restaurants and streets, and exciting, busy. We have a couple of schools in there. And then at the center to the north, it's North York Central, where the headquarters of the TDSB is. We have a lot of schools also, and most of the larger schools are in that area. Let's go to the east part of it. We have Scarborough South and a Scarborough North. Then we have the west side, North York West, and then down below, Etobicoke. In terms of the demographic features of these communities, Scarborough North, we have a lot more Chinese communities. Scarborough South, much less. To the eastern part of Scarborough North, with more people and communities coming from South Asian countries, for example, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka, for example. Then in the central part of central North York and downtown area, there would be fewer Asian families. And further to the west, we have a fewer Asian community. We have more local Canadian students, local European families. So you can choose a community where you find a connection or relative, or choose based on the school. If you look at the mapping here, there are green squares and also blue dots. Those green squares are mostly non-semester schools. The blue circles are semester schools. You might want to ask me, what's the difference between the green squares and the blue dots? The blue dots have 2 entries every year, September and February, and the green squares only have 1 intake, that is September. And you cannot change the courses in the middle of the school year. If a student is applying to grade 11, grade 12, it's better to be in those green dots or the semester schools because they are close to graduation. They need the flexibility to finish the credit they need or courses they need so they can apply to universities and graduate on time. Which is better? It's difficult to say which is better. Some students prefer year school or those green squares non-semester schools. Others prefer those semesters schools. So it's up to the student to choose. If a child is very strong in language, then there's no difference. I would say the difference perhaps is most important in that if you are not so strong in your English skills, you need every semester to finish ESL level, it's better to be in a semester school. If you are in a non-semester school, it's difficult to change your credit courses in the middle of the year. It makes it longer for the child to finish high school and graduate. Let's look at each community. In downtown area, we have the Bloor CI, which is traditionally a very, very top class school with a very top, we call that TOPS program. So if you are very strong in, technology and science area, that school could be your choice. The bad news is that the school is now being rebuilt. They are now relocated to the campus of Central Technical School. So the first two schools are sharing the same campus before the Bloor CI is rebuilt. So the space is very limited. Central Technical School is one of the oldest school in the province of Ontario. Beautiful buildings, beautiful structures, have a lot of very strong courses in technology. Central Toronto Canada is a smaller school, but a very strong supporting ESL. Jarvis CI is a non-semester school. It's the oldest school in the province, right in downtown area, close to Yonge Street. The last one is a specialty program school. They have IB program. They have a very strong sports program in swimming. And one of the top Olympia gold medalists was trained in that school for swimming. And they won gold and silver just a few months ago in Tokyo. So that's Monash Park. They have a great community parks and a great community sports swimming facility. In the Etobicoke area, we got 4 different schools. ECI is traditionally top school in that area. Silverthorne is a very strong sports program, especially in basketball, soccer, and hockey programs. Western Technical Commercial School is a very strong school in business and commercial training. And George Harvey is a regular track program school. North York Central has the biggest number of schools in our 31. And lots of the top-notch schools are in this group. A.Y. Jackson, Dow Mills are all very strong in science and technology. Forest Hill is a top school in art program. George Henry is a regular school with uniform. That's the only one school that we have wearing uniform. George Vanney has the best visual art program in TDSB. They have strong robotics and visual arts. John Polanyi, Newtonbrook, and Northern Secondary, they are local schools with very strong years of support. Northview Heights is one of the top choice for a lot of students coming from Vietnam because the programs and community. It still attracts a lot of kids. It's also because it is closer to the community where a lot of families coming from Vietnam, want to live. So it's one of the top choice for kids coming from Vietnam. The last one is a very strong school in science and technology and also IB program. And if you are in our system for grade 9 already, you can try to apply to the IB program in Victoria Park CI, but you cannot apply directly from Vietnam. You have to be in our school first and then apply to this IB program. If you are already in IB program, we can try to connect you with that school, but usually not in February. They can only take students in September if you are really interested in this IB school program. So North York West, we got 4 different schools. Emory CI is a very large school with very strong soccer and basketball, but not as strong as Kipling CI. Kipling CI is soccer, is basketball. Martin Grove and West CI, Western Harbor CI, especially Martin Grove is a non-semester school. And I think it's one of the top schools in science and technology in TDSB. It's hard to get in. Every year only have about 12 to 20 spots every year. You can only get in within that number. West Harbor is one of the 2 best schools in the province in robotics, especially for students who loves engineering, loves robotics, and that's one of the good school. And they have a award-winning championship basketball team or basketball league in that school. So boys, if you're very strong in technology, in robotics, you can choose that school in the western part of the city. In Scarborough, these are traditionally very strong schools, and a lot of Chinese family would prefer those schools. Etobicoke, Dr. Bethune CI, Sir John MacDonald, they are all non-semester schools. The other 3 are semester schools. And if you have a connection and a family living there, we are more than happy to put you in those schools also. Scarborough South, these are 2 special schools. The first one, Birchmount Park CI, is a sports program school. We call it sports specialty school with American football, basketball, rugby. Auburn is the top, one of the 2, and this is the top one, school program for robotics. I'm not sure you know robotics or not. If you want to study robotics, this is the school you want to go to. They won a few international awards, provincial and national awards in robotics designs and competition. Here are a few pictures that we took a few years ago, and you can see our office headquarters. And in the middle up is the Etobicoke CI, and then to the right for the CI. The bottom right-hand corner is Central Technical School. You can see it's a very old, beautiful building, was used as the scene for a lot of movies, using that as the setting for feature movies. The one top left-hand corner, sorry, right, it is the Sir John Macdonald. It's in Scarborough, it's a non-semester school. Right now, these 10 countries are the top source of students for our international program. China, Vietnam, Iran, South Korea, Bangladesh, and then in the last year or so, we are seeing a lot more kids coming from Germany and Italy, because Asian countries are having difficulty getting vaccines. They can arrive, while kids coming from European countries, they can easily travel to Canada. And for September, we've got more kids coming from those two countries. The photos here are taken before COVID-19. You can see, got the pictures, kids coming from Turkey, Brazil, Korea, China, Spain, Colombia, Saudi Arabia, Japan. Of course, we got kids coming from Vietnam. That year, that parent is now with that child in Toronto, and very happy to see them joining the system that year. The admission requirements you can easily follow on our website, but we do need average of C plus. Every student, high school student, once they are accepted, they need to go through the assessment. The assessment will be online, and they will do the English assessment. They will also do the math assessment. Those tests, we don't call them tests, we call them assessment. The assessment is intended to measure how good they are in the language skills and in the math skills, so we can place them in the right level of courses when they start. It's not a way to say you cannot get in or not. It's a way that we use to measure how we can place you or pre-register you in the courses that you need. This is very straightforward, and you can always find, I don't have to talk about it. This is the fee schedule for 1 year. But I do want to mention that this tuition, whether it's 1 year or 1 semester, it includes insurance, textbooks, and also summer school. This is important. We put everything together. We don't charge students additional. And you can do calculation. So every credit is about $2,000. And we offer 1 free credit course in the summer to all the new students. The application process, you can always rely on, kind of chief staff. They can help you with that. This is something I want to share with you. In terms of diverse course of studies, here is a brief list of the courses we offer to the students. You can see they are different from a lot of Asian countries in the courses being offered. For example, we offer in high school accounting. We also offer business. We all offer classical studies in Latin and other languages. Computer technology, we also offer economics, international languages, and also marketing and visual arts. Those are the courses not usually offered in Asian countries, but in here, the student have the choice to choose those courses if they like them. In our school system, we offer 5 levels of ESL from A to E. A is the lowest level, E is the highest level. In addition, we also offer supportive courses designed for transitional learning. For example, if you are not very strong in the language, but you are still interested in business, so we offer ESL business. They focus on both language skills and business knowledge. We offer ESL science. We also offer ESL history. So you learn the language at the same time, You're also learning a credit in science, in business, or in history. And you are granted the credits after you finish all these ESL courses. I think this is very important for all of you, especially you when you are trying to give students and families some advice. This is the roadmap for students to move from one level to another and move on to the regular English courses. You can see level 1, we call that ESL AO until level 5, ESL EO. From level 1 to level 2 to level 3, each level takes about 1 semester. So usually students coming from Vietnam, they are at level 3. So usually at ESL CO. Before they can move to English 2P or 2D, English 2P or 2D means grade 10 regular English for local students. So before they can move to English 2P, 2D, they should finish level 4, which means ESL DO. If a student is at level DO, they can move on to English 2D or 2P, which means grade 10 English. If they're at level 5, they can move on to English 3C or 3U or 4C or 4U, which means grade 11 or grade 12 regular English. In Ontario, in the school system, you have to finish English 4C or 4U before you can finish high school, get a diploma, and apply to university. This is mandatory. You have to go through this process. Earlier, I mentioned that you have to go through assessment. So when you do assessment, if the result is you are now at level 3, means you can move on to level 4. So the level you got is not something we stop the student from coming to our school. It's a way to measure where you can start. In our system, a student have to finish in total 30 credits, including 18 composite credits and 12 elective credits. In addition, they have to finish the OSSLT, we call the Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test. They have to finish 40 hours community services. Here, I want to talk a bit more about the last one, the community services. As I mentioned earlier, in our school, we have a school guidance department, and they have a lot of information about what's happening in the community. Do they have volunteer communities and opportunities so they can give the chances, opportunity to the students? That's the advantage of studying in a big school board like Toronto. If you're in a very small, far away rural community or in a school board, it could be difficult for you to earn those credits. But in Toronto, because you have a lot of opportunities, you can easily earn those credits by contact in the school guidance department and ask for those chances where they can find the opportunity. So I would say big city school board, they do offer those opportunities for students who need that services and community hours, 40 hours. That hour is not for 1 year, it's for 4 years. You finish 10 hours in grade 9, 10 hours in grade 10, or you can do 20 hours in grade 11 and 20 hours in grade 12, and eventually you still have 40 hours in total. This is the summer program we are offering to our students. In the last 4 years, we offered twice in person, we offered twice virtually. So year 1, year 2, we offer in one of our high schools. Last year and the year and this year, we offered virtually because of COVID-19. You can see it in here, we offer 5 levels of ESL based on the assessment. Student can choose one of the level of ESL. If you don't like this ESL, you can choose family studies, there's a future or drama based on your assessment again. And this program is free for all the new incoming students. In addition, we're also offering this program to all the grade 8 students who are moving from grade 8 to grade 9. Let's say if you are now in grade 8 in June this year, and you are going to grade 9 in September, we invite the students to come to the summer program for free. If a student joins us in February, they missed the summer last year, they can join the summer program the next year. So you won't miss the opportunity. It's open to the students. We talk about student support from two different levels. Level one is from our office. So in addition to our regular admissions assistants, we have 5 dedicated guidance counselors, and their only job is to support international students. I have to say that in TDSB, we are the only one in Canada offering this kind of support to students. A lot of school board, they're just offering that at school level. For us, we have our own team in our office. Their only job is to do the support work. For example, if a child want to move from one school to another, if they have credit issues, if they have difficulty with the families, hosting families, health companies, providers, and these guidance teachers will connect with the students, the hosting family, the custodian, and the parents. If needed, they can call the family directly using your own language. We have the translator serving the teachers. We can call the families if there is need to do that. In addition, at schools, every school has their own principals, vice principals, teachers, and also social workers supporting the students. We have a full-year coverage for students in our health coverage plan, the insurance package. By that I mean, the student is covered 365 days a year, as long as they are in Canada and enrolled full-time in our program. Even when they're traveling to the US, to other countries, this insurance coverage also applies to them. The only days they are not covered are those times and days they went back home to Vietnam, for example. When they're traveling outside Vietnam, they're covered, but not when they are at home staying with their parents. Accommodation. Right now, for grade kindergarten to grade 8, the students have to live with the parents or the custodian. So there's no choice. Starting from grade 9, they can choose to live with their friends or homestay. We leave there with the family to make the final decision. And at the moment, TDSB is working with 3 different companies: Canada Homestay Network, GW Homestay, and a Yes Homestay. You can connect with them to ask for price, the service levels, and we leave that with the family and the homestay provider to make the final decision. So this is a very general introduction of programs, and you are more than welcome to email me or to call me if any questions. And here's a WeChat channel that you can use WeChat. We can always use Zoom, for example, but feel free to connect me if you have any questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for your helpful sharing. This is the time for the Q&A section. So if anyone have the question, please kindly unmute yourself and raise your question. Or you can leave the question in the chat box as well.
Please feel free to raise any question you might have. You can raise the question in the chat box, or you can just raise your hand in here and unmute your mic.
Hi, Fresh. May I have a question?
Yeah, please go ahead, Miss Hall.
Okay. May I ask that are there any differences between the 31 schools that accepting international students with the other school that don't accept international students?
Mr. Liu, you have not unmute yourself yet.
My apologies. No. The 31 schools are not randomly chosen. Instead, before we open one school, we have to make sure they have the three things. They have the ESL support, they have the staffing support, and they have the programming support. So when they are ready, we open that school to international students. The other school, they are good schools, but very often they may not have ESL support. They may not have the staffing or program support. That's why we only right now have 31 ready to accept students. I mentioned earlier for elementary kids, when they move from grade 8 to grade 9, because they are younger, right? And very often by the time they reach grade 9, the language skills are already good enough. They don't need any ESL support anymore. So that's why we don't limit them to that 31 schools.
Yeah, I see. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Yes, just I would like to confirm all of your idea because this is very important and helpful as well. So if the student would like to have more opportunity to study at any school in the school board, they should start at the grade 8 or earlier.
I would say the best time for sure is to start in grade 9. So they have 4 years in here in TDSB. By the time they finish, they do not need to take any language test to go to university. So I would say 4 years would be the best. But if the family can, get the kids here early, starting from grade 8, that's even better. Again, grade 8, grade 7 would be challenging for a lot of families. They are very young and they need to stay with the custodian or the parents. And very often it's difficult to arrange the parents to come along with the students. So that's why I would say the best time to come is starting from grade 9. 4 years full time. You don't need to take TOEFL or IELTS anymore to finish, application to university.
Yeah, and for the students start with their grade 9 in Canada, in TDSB, they also have the chance to apply for the IB program if they demonstrate their study ability is good enough.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Great.
it's not only IB program. We have lots of other talent programs like kids with special talents in mathematics. We have TOPS program, robotics program, arts program, fine arts. They can all apply to them if they are, selected and good enough to go through the audition process.
Yeah, thank you. And we have 2 questions in the chat box now. Which school in the TDSB has the highest ranking? Do we have any the ranking for the school in your system?
We do not have a ranking system in TDSB, and we do not trust the ranking system done by outside community and organization. For example, Fraser reports. I'm sure that you all heard about Fraser reports. Fraser report is ranking school only based on 2 things: grade 9 mathematics and a grade 10 OSSLT, the Ontario Literacy Test. If you are from a very good school, but they only measure grade 9 math and grade 10 Ontario Literacy Test, it's not fair for a lot of good schools. They are very strong in grade 11, grade 12, but those are not measured. So that's why the public system do not encourage this kind of ranking system. It's based on the program that school offer. I'll give you one example. In some community, the parents, the families focus more on the academic testing results. But for students coming from Vietnam, Asian countries, they need the language skills more than anything else, cultural immersion language skills. So what is more important? Is it getting a better mark in mathematics or getting the language skills and other abilities improved faster? Ranking is really, I would say, misleading a lot of family students. It's based on the community. It's based on the program they offer. And I would say, do not look at a ranking that heavy, and it's not really giving the kids a good choice. I can give you some more experience in here. In quite a few schools in Toronto, for example, the western part of the city, the schools may be not ranking very high, but they offer very strong language program, great language environment, great art programs, great sports program, and great Canadian local culture focused programs. This is what kids coming from Vietnam would need more than just a good mark in mathematics or in English. So parents should consider, is my child going to be improve the language skills, the overall ability or skills fast enough to catch up with local kids, or you want to be an Asian focused, test focused kind of school? So it's up to the family, but we can try to give you some advice on that.
Yeah.
And there's another side of this story here. Those so-called top ranking school is only based on mathematics. Most of the times, mathematics. And very often Asian kids are doing best in mathematics. Those top ranking schools, so-called, is actually with a lot more Asian students. But our kids coming from Vietnam, they prefer in a school where the language environment, the cultural programs, the after-school program, and the Canadian sports program, art program would be more supportive for students.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Fredley, for sharing your own experience as an international manager and working with the international student for a long time. Yeah, and as you said it, most of the Vietnamese students, they are struggling with the language rather than the science, such as mathematics or the other science as well. So the supporting for the language and the culture as the first time they show new environment there much be better and more suitable for them, right?
Yep. I have a friend in here asking one question. They have a student complete grade 11 in the US. He has been studying in one of our school since September. Can he finish high school in June 2022 and get OSSD? Do you offer summer semester for the student to get enough credits to enroll university in September? Okay, great question. I can share with you some more information that I think is important for students. For these students, if you can give me the full name, I can check with the school how many credits he has or she has. I'm not sure it's a boy, okay. I think if he has finished high school, grade 11 in the US, very likely he can finish high school in June 2022. If he's still missing 1 or 2 credits, I can help the child to connect with our nice school or e-learning. If he's missing 1 or 2 credits, I can help him to register in those e-learning or nice school or summer school to finish everything without delaying the graduation. So please let me know the exact name of the student so I can help you with that. Okay, so let me note down the students. So the student is tall, not high, down. Okay, I'll put it down, and it's good. Can I also ask how many years did he study in the US? Okay, so he studied in the US for 3 years. I don't think it would be any problem for the child to finish high school in 2022. But I will check with the principal and check with the guidance teacher. I will connect with the students. Okay.
Hello, Fred.
Yep.
Yeah, may I know some more information about the requirement for elementary student? For example, I remember student had to live with direct relative when they apply for elementary grade A, right?
Yes, and for elementary, we're talking about from kindergarten to grade 8. When they are here, they have to live with the custodian, not necessarily blood relative. It has to be the custodian or the parent.
Oh,
It
I
could
see.
Yeah, it could be a friend of the family, but they have to live with the custodian.
So the custodian may be the parents, friends, or anyone else in Canada, right?
Yep.
Oh, I
But
got
you
your
know,
point.
yes, because they are very young, and it's better to be a relative and or a very close friend, and the family knows about the Canadian local family very well. If you don't really know, and how can you put a young kid, only 12 years old or 11 years old, to be with a family you don't even know? So we strongly recommend to be with a custodian, the blood relative, or the parents come here to live with the child for elementary.
Thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Please raise your question or any case study or student you would like to ask the advice from the Mr. Fred Liu.
Okay, if the friends don't have any questions, and they can always email me or through Peter or through Canada Vietnam, they can send me the questions by email.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Fred Liu. And it seems that you give the presentation with very helpful and all the information is very clear, easy to understand. So thank you so much for sharing today and spending time with us. Thank you and see you in the next section with us and our partner in Vietnam.
You're welcome. Hopefully we will be able to, be there for in-person events in Vietnam. And thank you for your support, and feel free to connect anytime.
Yeah, we're expecting to do an in-person workshop for our partner in Vietnam soon. Yeah, hope to see you soon.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Thank you so much, Fred. Thank you all.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Yeah,
Bye for
thank
now.
you. Bye bye.
Good evening.